Ukraine is set to declare a state of emergency as tensions with Russia boil over.
The measure will likely be approved within 48 hours and will last 30 days. It will exclude Donetsk and Luhansk, the two Russian-controlled separatist regions Putin has declared independent. Emergency measures have been in place in those areas since 2014.
Meanwhile, Russia is announcing the financial measures it will take to protect itself in light of U.S. sanctions designed to cut Moscow off from Western financing.
Despite all the maneuvering, President Putin says he is still open to, quote, direct and honest dialogue with the caveat Russia's security concerns are non-negotiable. CBS News' Debra Alfarone has more from the White House.
Ukraine announced a state of emergency and is mobilizing its National Guard in response to the threat from Russia.
Plan A is to utilize every tool of diplomacy to deter Russia and prevent further escalation. And if that fails, Plan B is to fight for every inch of our land and every city and every village.
The U.S. says Russia continues to send forces into rebel-held areas of eastern Ukraine, and satellite images show the Russian buildup along Ukraine's borders growing, including field hospitals being set up.
Russia's moved supplies of blood and medical equipment into position on their border. You don't need blood unless you plan on starting a war.
President Biden announced the first set of sanctions against Russia, targeting two large Russian banks with ties to the military and cutting the country off from Western financing.
These have been closely coordinated with our allies and partners and will continue to escalate sanctions if Russia escalates.
President Biden warned that the sanctions against Russia will have an impact on Americans, especially at the gas pump.
As we do this, I'm going to take robust action to make sure the pain of our sanctions is targeted at the Russian economy, not ours.
Fuel prices are already on the rise, reaching 7-year highs. Russia accounts for about 12% of the global supply of oil and 17% of natural gas supplies. Debra Alfarone, CBS News, the White House.
And joining us now from Kyiv is CBS News foreign correspondent Charlie D'Agata. Hi, Charlie. So how will this state of emergency impact Ukrainians?
Well, immediately the government has come out and said we're going to try to not impact day-to-day life, and this shouldn't sow panic among Ukrainians. What it is going to do, it's going to curb movement of people around the city and around the north. That's clear. It's going to stop mass gatherings. This will be in place. The state of emergency will be in place for a limited time, 30 days. Their words, it's not going to have a radical impact on our lives. But it comes at a time where Ukrainians have been urged to leave Russia immediately, a time of increased tensions. It will change things along the border. There will be checkpoints, and they'll be checking IDs closer to the Belarusian border. It will not, and this is important, none of that will mean martial law or imposing any areas in Donbass, in the Donbass region. So these contested regions in Luhansk and Donetsk, they have no intention of upping any kind of either police patrols or military guard there in order to avoid any provocation of Russian-backed separatists or what may be Russian forces themselves, this peacekeeping force that may be moving into that territory if they haven't already.
Charlie, we know there are lots of sanctions coming at Russia. The Kremlin says these sanctions won't only hurt them, but the countries imposing them. For Americans and its allies, what could that mean?
Well, sanctions are always a two-way street. If you say that we are no longer going to be trading with you or we're going to hurt you in terms of not allowing any financial transactions to take place or taking away the money of the oligarchs, there are ways that they can punish. We've already seen fuel prices go up. And it's not just because of what's happening here in terms of the instability and the fact that we may be on the verge of a huge military aggression from Russia into Ukraine itself. But it's because of these sanctions, because the way the money markets work, and the fact that the Russians have many ways, some obvious, some less obvious, of hurting NATO, hurting the West, cyber attacks, all kinds of ways for them to strike back. So there is no punishment that goes unpunished, certainly when it comes to President Putin and this regime.
And how likely are we to see fighting, Charlie? As you know, Ukraine started to draft reservists today after a decree from President Zelensky. He called Ukraine a peaceful nation, but he said, quote, if we keep silent now, we will be extinct tomorrow. So should we be expecting some fighting as Russian troops continue moving into Ukraine? Will there be a military response by Ukrainian forces?
I think it's just a question. It's no longer a question of if, but when. When President Putin gave formal recognition to those two breakaway republics, said that he has the option to send peacekeeping units in there, when he got permission from his own Duma, his own parliament, to use military force outside of Russia. I mean, he hasn't declared what he wants to do, but he's been dropping plenty of hints. So President Volodymyr Zelensky had no choice when he mobilized the guard here to, raise arms. And the conflict, and I keep having to say this, but the conflict already has been underway since 2014 in that Donbass region. That has been a flashpoint. And we went out to the front lines a couple of days ago, and there was a sustained artillery bombardment. My colleagues who've been reporting there, Holly Williams as well, have been reporting there. You've seen the up-tempo in the fighting that's gone on there. The real concern is whether that is now going to spread. If those Russian forces advance in their head-to-head against Ukrainian forces, the Ukrainian military, they'll be outgunned and outnumbered, but the fighting will take place. And once they reach, if that is the intention of President Putin and the Russian military, to reach that line of contact, well, now they are into this part of Ukraine. What's going to precede that? Is it going to be airstrikes? Are they going to try to take down air defenses? Are there going to be cyber attacks? That is where we're starting to look at people being more concerned now than they were a couple of days ago here in the capital, where there is no sign at all of panic or fear. There's no panic buying. People are going to work. The subways are full. Things are getting real, and they're getting real by the moment, getting real by the hour, because of what's happening in the East and the fear that it could spread, or that it is President Putin's plan, and has been all along, to launch a full-scale invasion.
The world will continue to watch. Charlie D'Agata, thank you there in Kyiv. I'm sure we'll talk to you soon.